All right, welcome back, family. You are listening to Commitments Radio on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. We are talking to our special guest, Radia Baxter, Volunteer Engagement Officer at The Relatives. And we are talking about really humanizing the relatives so that, the listeners can really get an idea of not just who they are, but what they do, but now really about who they serve. So Radia, I'm really just going to kind of turn this segment of the show over to you, and I really want to humanize the face of the relatives. So can you share some stories of some of those whom the relatives have helped?
Absolutely, Pastor Ken. Thank you for that opportunity to humanize the face of those that we serve so that folks can really get an understanding of who we're talking about. I'll start by sharing a story of one of our young men. We're gonna call him Scott.
Okay.
Scott came to us. It's probably been a few years now, where he had walked 125 miles from Fayetteville, North Carolina to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hmm.
And yes, I said he walked.
Okay.
His childhood,
Did you see my face?
yeah, he
He
walked.
walked from Fayetteville to Charlotte.
Absolutely. He walked from Fayetteville, North Carolina to Charlotte, North Carolina, because he was looking for a better life. He
Wow.
came from a situation where it was a father and he had siblings,
Hmm.
and they weren't treated fairly, appropriately
Hmm.
in the home.
Hmm.
And he was looking for a better option, a better lifestyle.
Okay.
He came to us here at the Relatives, the On Ramp Resource Center, looking for resources. He was indeed homeless,
Hmm.
and he just wanted to be able to create a better life for himself. We paired him up with a case manager. One of our case managers, she sat and she talked to him and she asked him, "What do you want to do with your life?
Hmm.
What are you looking for? What are your goals? Let's talk about that. And then let's begin putting in systems to work towards achieving and accomplishing those goals."
Okay.
Scott shared with his case manager that he had noticed that there was an HVAC class that was available to
Hmm.
him.
Hmm.
And he was interested in, rather. And so she worked with him. She got him signed up for the HVAC class. He went through that program through one of our partners,
Hmm.
and he successfully received his HVAC certification.
Hmm.
We were present for him because we were his family, the
Yes.
only family that he had. And we attended the graduation. He was ecstatic about being able to go from a young man who came from, a home where
Hmm.
he was being treated unfairly.
Hmm.
From walking from Fayetteville, North Carolina
Hmm.
to Charlotte, North Carolina, to linking up with us at the Relatives and being able to receive his HVAC certification. And he currently, to date, um, is a certified maintenance person at an apartment complex
Wow.
locally here in the Charlotte area. And that is one of our success stories,
Wow.
going from that challenge to where he is now. And we're very proud of him and the work that he's doing.
Wow. Unbelievable. Okay.
We have another young man, we'll call him David.
Okay.
David grew up with his siblings, and they unfortunately were placed into the foster care system. And
Hmm.
so they were with us from their time at the Youth Crisis Center
Hmm.
to their time at the On Ramp Resource Center. And unfortunately, David and his family, they needed supports.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they ended in the foster care system. Once they aged out of the foster care system,
Hmm.
David was still looking for, trying to figure out just kind of what life looked like for him.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, as a result of being in the system, David did not receive a high school diploma. And he was looking for a way to, get a job. And the
Hmm.
reality of the situation was a lot of the jobs that he was interested in, they needed a certain level of education.
Okay.
So we partnered and paired David up with our tutor. His sister, actually, she was in the process of getting her GED. And David, and if anyone knows anything about the GED program, there's four parts to that test.
Hmm.
And typically, it could take a young person anywhere from 6 months to a year to complete their GED program.
Okay.
So David and his sister, they were in the tutoring session together.
Hmm.
And David, unheard of, successfully passed all four parts of the GED test in a 3-week time span.
Oh my word. 3 weeks.
3-week time span. It was completely unheard of for us here at the Relatives, but
Yeah.
that's unheard of as well too,
Hmm.
just in
Hmm.
general. If you know anything about, bell curves and things like that, that's one that you rarely see.
Sure.
And
Sure.
given that, David was able to attend a session because he was interested in culinary arts.
Hmm.
So we also we partnered him up with a group here in Charlotte, and he attended some training sessions and classes with them. And successfully, he received his certified sous chef.
Wow.
So that's another, just kind of a success story, from David and his time with us.
Okay.
It's those are the stories that really, when we think about the work that we do here at the
Hmm.
Relatives,
Hmm.
those are just two of the stories that really bring it home for all of us and tells how impactful the work that we're doing is for those young people. We have another young man, we'll call him Ryan.
Hmm.
Ryan had been living in a situation with his grandmother because his mother was unsuitable to care for him
Hmm.
as a child. And so he came to us, and the furthest that he got, I think when Ryan was in the 5th grade, the grandmother passed away. So
Hmm.
through the grieving process, Ryan ended up not going back to school.
Hmm.
And so he came to us at the Relatives and was needing support. And so we kind of worked with Ryan, and he started out in our GED tutoring program as he was a young person here at the Relatives On-Ramp Resource Center. And he had one more test that he needed to take,
Hmm.
and just kind of life kind of got in the way for him.
Hmm.
And so, every time it came time to take the test, something happened.
Hmm.
Then the next time to take the math portion, another thing happened.
Hmm.
So things just, issues just begin to compound on one on top of the other. And
Hmm.
it was preventing Ryan from, uh, you know, passing that last test to complete his GED. Fast forward,
Hmm.
this is so exciting. Fast forward 5 years later.
Wow.
5 years later, and literally just a couple weeks ago,
Hmm.
Ryan successfully completed and passed that final test, and he received his GED certification.
Wow, that is wonderful. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are just some of the stories about some of the young people that we see. Their stories are definitely ones, when I say can go from tragedy to triumph,
Hmm.
and we're just excited that we're here to be able to support them in the way that they need the most support and become true relatives and that offer that guidance and that support and really build up their confidence for them.
Wow, that thank you for those stories. We're actually going to take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion and kind of wrap up our discussion. Actually, we're talking to Radia Baxter of the Relatives, and you're listening to Commitments Radio on WDRB Media. We'll be right back.